What's striking is that National Democrats are not following Mayor Bowser's lead on this, and that National Democrats have been insisting, just look at the statistics. We have 30-year low, violent crime, whereas Mayor Bowser is talking about, hey, we need to get 500 more police officers on the streets. We'd like the federal government to help us rebuild our jail. She's talking about some of the reforms she did to make it so accused violent offenders don't get out of jail pre-trial. So there is this disconnect, and I've talked to Democratic strategists today that think that National Democrats saying, look at the statistics is sort of a tone-deaf way to react.
And it's very much, isn't this the exact same problem that Democrats had last year? Look at the statistics. We promise you the economy is great, while people are going, it doesn't feel great to me. That feels like a lot of this conversation around crime, that you can point to statistics all day long that say, hey, DC is safer this year than it was last year. But do people feel safe? Bottom line, if they don't, they may be more okay with something that would otherwise be considered extraordinary.
We've been talking so much about the numbers, and yeah, usually that's how you play devil's advocate, is you talk about, oh, well, stats say crime is down. However, I can tell you firsthand here in downtown D.C. where we work, right here around our bureau, just in the past 6 months, there were 2 people shot. 1 person died, literally 2 blocks down here from the bureau. It was within the last 2 years that I actually was jumped walking just 2 blocks down from here. And then just this morning, one of my coworkers said her car was stolen a block away from the bureau. So we can talk about the numbers going down, but crime is happening every single day because we're all experiencing it firsthand while working and living down here.
It seems like the Democrats have one plan in their playbook, and that, of course, is to deny reality. When things are not going their way, when all of their initiatives, when all of their policies break down and stuff in this country gets a whole lot worse, guess what? It's not us. It's not what we've been doing. It's you. You're just not experiencing it the right way, okay? So as much as they want us to all deny what we're seeing and experiencing in our own lives, we all know the truth that, yes, crime in this country is not exactly falling, and these policies the Democrats are enacting in these liberal sanctuary cities is not helping. But now Donald Trump is coming in to take over D.C. because apparently the left just can't govern and keep citizens safe. And that's what we're going to see today with Kash Patel laying out the plan that Donald Trump has, along with Pete Hegseth. But before we get to these clips, don't forget to like and comment on this video so we break through the algorithms. Here we go.
Mr. President, the following is what happens when you let good cops be cops. And I just want to highlight that before I get into Northern Virginia. This year alone, under President Trump's administration, we've had over 4,000 child victims identified and found. That's a 33% increase from the same time period last year. 33% increase. We've had a seizure of 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl up to this date. That is a 25% increase since the same time period last year. And just to put it in perspective, 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl is enough to kill 115 million Americans. 115 million Americans. Cops are getting after it. The FBI has arrested 19,000 people this year alone. Thanks to President Trump's administrations, that's double than where we were this time last year. And we have also arrested 1,600 people who have committed violent acts against children. 270 of them are human traffickers of children. Mr. President, this is what happens when you have great leadership at the Attorney General with Pam Bondi. Your administration's priority of protecting the homeland and protecting American citizens and protecting our children, and the murder rates are plummeting. We are now able to report that the murder rate is on track to be the lowest in U.S. history, in modern recorded U.S. history, thanks to this team behind me and President Trump's priorities. And how do we do it? And what are we going to bring to D.C.? What we did in Northern Virginia, thanks to Terry Cole and Governor Youngkin and the team, we stood up a task force out in my Northern Virginia field office, and we said, let's let good cops be cops. Let's get them the intelligence and what they need, and let's get the red tape out of their way, and let's get DOJ partnered up with us to bring great prosecutions. And that's exactly what we did. In 1 month, we arrested 545 violent felons. 545 in the state of Virginia, thanks to Governor Youngkin's partnership. And that simplicity in law enforcement is what's coming to Washington, D.C. When you let good cops be cops, when you give them the intel they need, when you work with our Homeland Security Task Force, when you work with Terry and Gaddy and I go way back to Miami, these guys are great leaders of the respective departments and law enforcement capacities. And when you have the DOJ and President Trump driving behind this mission, we are going to clean up Washington, D.C., and we're going to do it the right way, the lawful way, and we're going to make sure Washington, D.C. is safe again.
Well, Mr. President, it's an honor to be here. And at your direction this morning, we've mobilized the D.C. National Guard. It'll be operationalized by the Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, through the D.C. Guard. You will see them flowing into the streets of Washington in the coming week. At your direction as well, sir, there are other units we are prepared to bring in. Other National Guard units, other specialized units. They will be strong, they will be tough, and they will stand with their law enforcement partners. This is nothing new for DOD. As the President noted, at the border, we've got 10,000 troops down there who've been operating in defense cooperation areas, defense zones, where there's zero illegal crossings because of troops on strikers scanning the border. We've been protecting other people's borders for 20 years. It's about time we protect our own. And we're working with ICE and CBP. In Los Angeles, we did the same thing, working with the California National Guard, working with ICE officers. ICE officers deserve to do their job and not be attacked. We will work alongside all D.C. police and federal law enforcement to ensure this city is safe, this city is beautiful. And as I always say about President Trump to the troops, he has their back. And my message to the National Guard and federal law enforcement in Washington is, we have your back as well. Be tough, be strong, we're right behind you.
That's exactly it. When you get tough on crime, when you actually enforce laws, guess what's going to happen? Crime is going to drop. This is something we all know on the right. However, the left, on display in California and New York City, where they're going to say, you can steal certain amounts. We're not going to arrest people. We're not going to investigate certain things. We're going to change felonies to misdemeanors. What happens? You have an explosion in crime. And then, of course, people just don't feel safe. But first, let me talk about Kash Patel. He actually came out and said that murder rates are dropping drastically, and they're going to be the lowest on record in a very long time. All right. But we've talked about these numbers before, how the FBI uses data that is basically incomplete. You actually have states that don't use the FBI system. So therefore, you have a whole bunch of crime that is being underreported. OK, but aside from all that, he's on the right track. Let cops be cops. Let good cops do their job, and everything else is going to follow suit. And of course, he has the numbers to back it up. Increase arrests, saving children, making places safer. These are all really good things. But I do want to point out, when it comes to D.C., this is something the left does not want to admit because they're saying, the stats don't show that people are less safe, okay? But when it actually comes to D.C.'s numbers, as reported by Axios over here, the FBI's numbers show that D.C. actually saw a 12% increase in aggravated assaults with or without a weapon, right, compared from 2023 to 2024. And that's actually up 37% from 2022, all right? This is the FBI data. So yes, while murders may be falling, you actually have assaults increasing. And these are things that people are actually seeing and experiencing in their daily lives, which makes them kind of say, I don't really feel that safe, which means everything else people are saying is probably a bunch of BS. And something else I want to point out is that, hey, guess what? The homicides have remained higher than the pre-pandemic levels since 2020. All right. So people are still dying. People are getting assaulted in greater numbers. And that, of course, is why folks don't feel safe. So even though murders may be falling, right, attacks are increasing. But of course, the left is going to be out there saying, see, we're safer than we've ever been. So there's no need for Donald Trump to come in and take over D.C., despite the fact that, yes, as we saw at the very beginning, people are being attacked at greater rates. And this is something that's been a long time coming because we have to have safety and security in our streets, especially in Washington, D.C., the capital of this great nation. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me. Do you like t-shirts? Of course you do. And now you can support the channel by buying an Angry Teacher t-shirt designed by me, Angry Teacher. So if you like America, if you like freedom, if you like liberty, then go ahead and click the link in the description where all designs, of course, are 100% mother approved. So enjoy yourself and find something you like today.